Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Greg Show. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit different than have been in the past. I'm going to be preserving some history. Uh, as you all know, I've been kind of interested in cast iron. I've got lots of cast iron pans and pots and stuff for my kitchen recently. And my plan is eventually I want to paint my kitchen and put some cast iron stuff hanging on my wall, and I'll show you what I got. I got one at a rummage sale, and the other thing I got that I won't be hanging on the wall. That'll probably be kept in my living room or laundry room just for display, just for looks. That's a sad iron. They're both kind of rusty and they're cast iron, and my plan is to soak them in vinegar and get all the rust off of them. And I'm not sure how long that's going to take. I don't think it's going to take that long because it's not real terrible rust. It's just a kind of a smooth surface rust. But I'm guessing it'll take about 3 or 4 days before it's cleared off. And then we'll clean her up, and my plan is to season it just like I would a cast iron pan. I'm not sure. I'm not a big antique collector, and it doesn't really matter, but it's just for my own use. But I really didn't want to destroy the value of the objects by painting them, so I figured if I season them like a cast iron pan, it can always be taken off real easy by just sticking them in the stove and oven cleaning cycle, and that would clean it all right back down to the bare metal again. But paint would be a lot harder to get off if you ever wanted to get that off. So that's my plan. So I'll show you what I have here. Um, One thing is kind of from the prohibition period. It's a piece of advertising stuff that was handed out. So I'll turn the camera over to that and I'll show you what that is and what I'm going to be doing. Okay, this is the first thing I got. This is a piece of advertising stuff that used to be handed out years ago, from my understanding. Um, Trying to get it so the sun doesn't leave a shadow on here so you can see it. These, from my understanding, were handed out by a stove company in Detroit, Michigan called the Art Stove Company. And years ago, they were for wood stoves. They had holes on top where you would stick your cast iron pan, and to take the cover off, they would use this hook here, and they could lift the covers off with this hook on the end. It says Art Stove Company on it, Detroit, Michigan. Lorette Stoves and Ranges. I think it says Bunn on it too. That must be a brand of stoves back then. Not sure. And then on the other side, because it was the prohibition period of the time when like booze and whiskey and stuff was outlawed, it's kind of funny. It says cut out the whiskey on it. I thought that was kind of cool. I can't read what it says on the left side here. On the right side, it's something Nations, and it looks like it's got a picture of a girl on here. But I thought it was kind of cool. So I thought that would look kind of cool if I get her all nice and black, seasoned again like a cast iron pan, and hang that behind my stove. Just thought it would be kind of neat on my wall. Something to keep and hold on to. And if I can season it and keep it from rusting and make it last longer than normal. I'll show you the other thing I bought here. that like hatchet thing, advertising piece I bought at a antique store in Delavan, Wisconsin. This I bought at a rummage sale in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. This is a sad iron. I can't read everything on here, but after I get the rust off of here, I should be able to read it better. It looks like it says Star Iron, and it's got a patent date of October something, but I can't read it. Looks like I'm guessing it's 1877, but I'll be able to see that after I get the rust off, hopefully. It'll be kind of interesting to see what that says on there. It looks like it has some stuff glued on the bottom. I don't know if that's something that came with it when it was new and it was never used, or if somebody used this as a doorstop possibly and they glued something on there, some picture or something. But I'll have to get that off. I'm not sure how that's all going to work out, but we'll see. So I'm going to soak this in vinegar, which is supposed to take the rust off. I'm guessing this will take probably 3 or 4 days. I'm not sure. I'll check on it periodically, and when it's ready, I'll come back and show you how it's cleaning up, and then we'll go through the seasoning process. So I think there'll be a couple cool little items, little antiques to hold on to and display in my house. So I'm gonna put these in a tub and then pour the vinegar over them. I'll show you that here in just a second, and then with the magic of video, I'll be right back here in a flash. But for right now, I'm going to put them in a tub and show you how I'm going to cover them up with vinegar. So go from there. I'm thinking I can get these all in here. It's a tight fit. I think that should work right there. Now I'm just using regular distilled white vinegar from the grocery store. It's very cheap. I can't remember what it costs. It doesn't cost much. Hopefully I have enough here to cover these. Looks like it should do it. I'm gonna have to be careful when I move this. It's pretty full. But I'm gonna leave that for about 3 or 4 days. I'll check on it periodically and move them around a little bit, so it gets to places where they're touching, and I can make sure it gets all covered and works. Then 2 or 3 days, when I think it's about ready to clean up, I'll bring you back here. With the magic of video, we'll be back here in just a split couple seconds here. So just hold on and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back. It's been about 4 days. I'm gonna pull the sad iron and other advertising piece, the thing to lift the tops of old wood stoves, the covers off. I'm gonna put them in the sink here and wash them. I put a little mat on the bottom to protect the sink a little bit. Not that it matters too much. My sink is kind of all banged up anyways, but at least it won't get any worse, hopefully. And I'm gonna clean it off the best I can, and then if it needs to go back into the vinegar bath for another day or so, I'll throw it back in there. I think it might have to, because on the bottom of the sad iron, it looks like somebody glued something on there, like it was used for a decoration or something, like a picture or a saying or something was glued on there. So I'm going to have to scrape that off, and I might have to stick it back into the vinegar bath again so it can get working a little bit better. But we'll see what it looks like after I get it cleaned up. I'm going to use some steel wool pads with soap in them. I'm going to use a scraper and a steel brush. So we'll see what it looks like after I get her cleaned up, and some Dawn soap I'll use too. So get started on her. It looks a whole lot better than it did when it went in. Let's see what it looks like with a little bit of scrubbing. It's coming off easier than I thought it was gonna. Amazing what a little elbow grease will do. It's gonna turn out nice, I can tell you that. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Well, it's cleaning up pretty good. There's some on the bottom yet that I'm gonna have to put it back in for another day or two. But it's cleaning back up. It's getting some flash rust on it right now because it's so wet, and it's getting, that's just what it does. But when I finish it up, I'll put it in the oven and try to stop that flash rust. But I'm not too worried about it right now because I'm going to put it back in the vinegar bath for another day or two here. But we'll get the other piece here cleaned up and see what it looks like. I cleaned up pretty good. But as long as I'm going to put the other piece back in there, I'll put this back in there too, and we'll wait another 2 or 3 days, and then we'll go on from there. Kind of hard to see on the camera, but it looks pretty good up in person here. Okay, I'll catch you in a couple more days here after it sits and soaks for a little bit longer, and we'll be right back. Okay, this is Wisconsin Greg. I'm back, and it's been probably 3 or 4 days since I put this back into the vinegar to soak for a little bit longer, and we're going to see how she cleans up today. And then we're going to, as soon as we get her all cleaned up, I'm going to stick her back in the stove for about 10-15 minutes just to stop any flash rust, and then we'll go on from there. Let me give you a look here. It's hot. I got hot water on it right here. But she cleaned up real nice. Not sure if you can see it. I hope you can. But it looks like a brand new one. And it's going to turn out real nice once you get some seasoning on there. I'm going to stick this one in the oven real quick here. And I'll give it a little wipe off with a paper towel first before I stick it in there, and then I'll be right back. I'll pull the other piece out of here and see what it looks like. See if you can see it or not. Kind of hard to see. Camera doesn't show it up very well, but it looks like brand new cast iron. I'm going to give this one last scrubbing with really super hot water, and then give it a quick drying off with a paper towel, and stick it in the oven just like the other one here. Then we'll begin the seasoning process. Get her seasoned up and make her look like new. I'm going to stick this in the oven quick before the rust starts up, so I'll be right back. Well, that's warming up for about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to clean this up and then I'll be right back with you when I start seasoning it. Okay, I got them all dried off in the oven. They were in there 10-15 minutes, and I'm going to put them on this piece of paper and oil them up with some Crisco vegetable oil. That's what I use on my pans. I have had real good luck with that, so that's what I'm going to use on this. Plus that's what I got in stock, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a old shirt to wipe it on, and it's still pretty warm here yet, so it should melt right in there pretty good. I'll make sure you get it in all the cracks and everything. You can put more on than you need, it's okay. Just makes it a little messy, but at least you want to make sure you get it in all the spots, the crevices and stuff. And it's going to end up putting a protective coating on it, just like a cast iron pan has. Pretty hard surface to keep it from rusting and make it look nice with a black coating on it. The plan is to hang this in my kitchen when I get my kitchen repainted eventually, because I'm kind of going all cast iron. I think this would look pretty nice behind my stove. Kind of just a piece of wall decor it's going to be. But I think it's a pretty old piece because it looks like it was produced during the prohibition period when alcohol was outlawed in the United States. That looks pretty good for that one. Still pretty hot. Holds the heat, I'll tell you. Try this one. My oven is set at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what I use, and I've always had good luck with that, so I'm not going to change it. Got a lot of holes in the handle to keep it cool, I guess. When you're using it, you'd wrap a towel around it, and in the olden days they'd wrap a towel around it to hold on to it. And the holes would keep it cooler. You gotta make sure you get oil in all those holes, make sure it gets a good covering. It does have one little dimple in it in the back here. That's just from when it was casted. That's the way it was made. Nothing to worry about. It just gives it some character. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to stick it in the oven for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to wipe them down as good as I can. You don't want no runs in it. If you leave runs on it, it's going to leave looks like a runny paint job, like got runs in your work. That's an important step, to make sure you pull it out in like 10 minutes and really give it a good wiping down. You don't want a thick covering of oil that runs. You just want very, very thin layers. For this, just being a wall hanging, two layers should be, or two seasonings should be enough. So after this gets done, we'll do another one, but it has to completely cool down again before I can do the second seasoning. So I'm going to stick this in the oven for 10 minutes and then I'll be right back. Okay, they've been I just took them out of the oven. They've been in the oven for 10 minutes. And I'm going to take my rag that I used to put the oil on and use the clean spot and wipe them off. You got to be careful because they're really hot. And wipe off any excess oil that's on there. Like I was saying, you don't want that on there. It'll leave runs. Don't use like a paper towel. I wouldn't recommend. If you have to use a paper towel, use the blue type. They seem to be less, leave less lint. Try to use a towel that won't leave lint. This one's leaving a little bit of lint, but not too bad. And you want to suck up anything that's going to leave a drip in on your project, because you don't want that. So that's pretty good. Stick that one back in the oven and wipe this one off here first. Might not look like there's any oil on there, but there is. It's a very light coat, and that's what you want. You don't want thick. Wipe off any so it don't show any drips. Okay, and we'll stick her back in the oven for another 45 to 50 minutes. And then when I take them out of the oven, I'll show them to you. After they're done in 45 to 50 minutes though, I shut the oven off and I let them totally cool down. You don't use water or air or anything to cool them down faster. You just let them cool down naturally. And then after they're cooled down, I'll bring you right back here. So be back in 45 to 50 minutes, but that'll just take a couple seconds with the magic of camera. So be right back. Okay, I'm back. They've completed their first seasoning process, and they've totally cooled down now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a quick rinse under the sink in cold water. And just remember, make sure yours are totally cooled down before you do that. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to make sure I remove any lint that's on there. So it don't get embedded or covered up and baked on there with a second coat of seasoning. And then I'm going to repeat the seasoning process just as I did the first time. I'm going to stick it in the stove at 325 for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to pull it out. That'll dry up all the water that's on there. I'm going to pull it out and rub the oil on there just like I did the last time. I'm going to stick it back in the oven for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to pull it back out again and I'm going to give it a wipe down to make sure I remove any runs just like I did the first seasoning. Then I'm going to stick it back in for 45 to 50 minutes and that'll be it. It'll be completely done. It looks good. I'm very happy with it the way it's turned out. It looks excellent. It'll look good hanging on my wall, and the sad iron will look good on the shelf in my living room or in my laundry room as a knickknack. So I'm going to do that, and when I've got her all totally done, I'll give you some close-up views of it at the very end. So I won't bore you with me going through the second stage here since we already did it the first time. So when I get her totally done and they're all cooled down again, I'll show you the final outcome. So I'll catch you when they're all done. Okay everybody, I'm back. This is Wisconsin Greg, and they got their final 2 coats of seasoning on them, and I'm pretty happy how they turned out. Trying to give you a close-up view. I got them outside here so you can see them in the sunlight, and they seem to look pretty good to me, and they should last and not rust for a long time hopefully. And if you wanted to have a little glossy finish on them, you could give them a light coating of like vegetable oil. But I'm not going to do that because I think that would be kind of messy. I don't want it rubbing on my wall and stuff like that. So I'm going to just leave them dry. But you could do that if you wanted to, put a very light coat of oil on them. I'll flip this around so you can see the other side. Turned out pretty good and a lot better than being all rusty, I think. Some people might disagree with me, saying it cuts the value. But if I want them in the house for a house decor, I don't want an old rusty thing hanging in my house. So I'll move this one out of the way and show you the sad iron. Turned out pretty good. I can't quite get the date. It looks like it's, I don't know, I can't, the patent is like October or something, and then the date looks like January. It looks like 1677, and looks like it says size 5 possibly. I'm not sure. It's pretty hard to read, but it is a star. It says star iron on it. Let's see what else it says. Enterprise Manufacturing Company, Philadelphia, it looks like. Let me turn this around so you can see it. So, be kind of interesting to see if that company was still in business today, which I highly doubt, but it might be some branch of it or something. So, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It'll look pretty nice sitting on my shelf in the living room, and the other piece will be hanging above my stove. So just wanted to give you a view of the final outcome. So I'm not going to turn this camera around. I'm just going to tell everybody thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day, because this video is long enough now the way it is. So if you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, and we'll catch you all later. Bye now.